Mom? What are you doing here in the middle of the night?
You're just in time for supper, dear.
The diluted personalities of the Enneagram 2 are referred to as caregivers, helpers, and other variants of these labels. The hard-hitting reality is, the original Enneagram 2 were meant to be presented as prideful, assertive, demanding, and hedonistic. Whilst it's true that the Enneagram 2 is helpful, attentive, appreciative, and warm, these characteristics are often a facade for emotional manipulation and love need. The vice of the Enneagram 2 is pride, directly defined as the imaginary exaltation of self-worth and attractiveness, playing the part of the princess, demanding privileges, boasting, and needing to be the center of attention. As a result of pride, there is an exaggerated intensity for love. Despite presenting themselves often as independent individuals, the Enneagram 2 is the most dependent on external validation.
Countess of what?
But those blue eyes, I'll be the countess of whatever you like, baby.
Seduction and flattery are also one of the most significant traits that are presented in Enneagram 2 individuals. Due to self-inflation, the Enneagram 2 believes that they are entitled to attention and privilege, even more so than other people. This therefore means that they will flatter and please others in order to gain something in return. The stereotype of giver originally comes from the idea that the Enneagram 2 gives and gives, but there is always an expectation for something in return. Seduction is also associated with this. To seduce others is to gain the love they crave. To seduce others is to fulfill their want for pleasure. The Enneagram 2's defense mechanism of repression means that they refuse to present their dependency or negative emotions. Because they view themselves so highly and greatly, they do not want to express their flaws and negativities, in fear of this hurting their pride and image.
It is hard and confusing. The last thing you need is to feel worse because you're not feeling something you're supposed to feel.
The sexual 2 is the most emotional, impulsive, dependent, and aggressive 2, meaning there is a lack of prioritization for intellectualism. The sexual 2 has a want to be adored and remembered by others, using empathy as a service to seduction. This 2 is wild and excitement-seeking and wants to show a potential partner that they are unforgettable due to their fun and spontaneous behavior. The sexual 2 is very giving, expecting of love and attention in return, because they are afraid to be alone, showing a deep dependency on external validation and desirability. The sexual 2 is erotic, seductive, and described as a femme fatale that offers passion and intensity. This subtype has a tendency for possessiveness, similarly to the self-preservation 2. They want to be best friends with others, not just friends, proving that they are the most seductive subtype.
You could stay here forever, if you want to.
The sexual 2 is also known for self-dramatization. They are theatrical and dramatic, in turn creating an explosive and aggressive character. They, however, can be very materialistic, focused on physical resources such as appearance and style, anything that makes them appear more desirable. They are also sexually charged. They naturally enjoy the physical pleasures in life.
90% of life is confidence. And the thing about confidence is no one knows if it's real or not.
Cognitively, the sexual 2 is distorted by false abundance, supporting their feelings of superiority. They have self-interested generosity. Despite all of these demanding and self-centered tendencies, the sexual 2 wants to be desired and loved. It is a type who is swayed by intensity and idealization of love, seeking immediate gratification and pleasure. It is a kind and giving type, and although this in a worst-case scenario may be self-focused, the sexual 2 is fun-loving, energetic, and protective over the ones they care for.
A woman can only be pushed so far. And I'm right on the edge.
The social 2 is the most intellectual of the Enneagram 2 subtypes. The social 2 is cold, critical, achievement-seeking, and ambitious. They believe that using their minds leads to the conquering of the social setting, whether it be through flattery, efficiency, or achievements. The social 2 is the most prideful 2, leading to an increased need for recognition, admiration, and respect within the social sphere. They believe they are talented, hardworking, and great, and therefore must be admired for these traits. This differs from the social 3, as the social 3 depends entirely on external validation and the images of the world. But the social 2 is self-assured and confident in their own abilities. Admiration and recognition from others does not validate their self-worth, but rather confirms the greatness they already knew they had. The social 2 has a sense of superiority. They believe they know better and are more efficient than others.
他人にはない自分だけの価値を感じる瞬間って最高だと思わない?
No different to the other subtypes, the social 2 uses flattery but in a more calculated way. Their relationships in an extreme scenario may be used strategically to uphold status or for personal interests. They have friends to feel supported, have good contacts to raise, have a good relationship with others to avoid conflicts. They flatter others, also expecting something in return.
優しく誰より親身になってでもねみんながやりたがらないことを率先してやるのは苦痛だよ
My largesse betrays me. Those to whom I have given much repay me only with resentment and ingratitude.
They work hard for others. They help others, all for the expectation of receiving social recognition in return. This also means they may flatter authority, because to be liked and respected and close to powerful people leads to power of the self. The social 2, in turn, uses this opportunity of closeness with respected authority figures in order to climb the social ladder, in order to have power and control, in order to be loved.
テストで1番を取ったりかけっこで1番を取った時みんなが注目してくれるよねそれが叶った瞬間に自分の価値を実感する
The social 2 tends to be more disciplined, thinking before they act, and restrain themselves, which is a drastic difference from the sexual 2 and self-preservation 2. The social 2 is usually hard to distinguish, however, easily mistyped as Enneagrams 3, 1, 7, and 8. The social 2 presents itself to the social setting as perfect, hardworking, well-respected, capable, and talented, and so they repress their flaws and negativities. They also appear very independent, showing capabilities and leadership, but the social 2 is just as dependent on others and craves love.
昔から尊敬され注目されることが何より好き
Although by description the social 2 is described as cold and independent, these types are hardworking and ambitious characters that are still emotional, sensitive, and seek love and admiration. They are great leaders, hosts, and teachers. They willingly put an effort to give to others. This even results in disregarding their own bodily needs in the pursuit of finishing a task, different from the sexual 2's prioritization of bodily needs and materialism.
彼女は私なのに私だって和也くんと彼女らしいことしてみたい
The self-preservation 2 is the least prideful of the Enneagram 2 subtypes. However, it is the most demanding of privilege. They present themselves as naive and innocent, forming a character who comes off as childlike. Due to this self-preservation instinct, the self-preservation 2 is the most cautious and worried about safety, in turn creating a character that flatters and seduces others in order to gain protection. Pride is most presented in this subtype through the idea that they deserve special protection and treatment from others. Due to their cautious yet demanding nature, they exhibit childlike cutesy behaviors as a form of flattery. To act good and innocent usually results in love and protection from others, and this feeds into the superiority. They feel they deserve to be pampered, and will project blame and play victim if they do not get what they want.
No, you can't do that! Noble, you have to sleep in my room tonight so that Nana won't have any choice but to let me sleep in her room with her!
The self-preservation 2 believes that they are only loved if they are kind, giving, and behave well, meaning that they may not engage much in conflict. The self-preservation 2 may have trouble saying no, and agrees to everything without conscious thought. The self-preservation 2 is also envious and jealous. They always want to be the top priority, the only one in place of privilege.
急に好きになるなんて言いません最初はお試しでもいいんです和也くんの彼女にしてください
The self-preservation 2 is entirely intolerant of discipline. They are also extremely forgiving, showing a lack of boundaries and limits, reinforcing naivety. They can also be vindictive and aggressive when they are abandoned, harmed, offended, or stripped away of their entitlements. They may act out revenge or emotionally overreact. Due to their cautious and dependent behavior, they can also be quite paranoid and controlling. When they believe someone doesn't love them or support them unconditionally and fully, or considers someone as superior to them, they may throw a tantrum. The self-preservation 2 is also shy. They have a level of fear when there is no certainty for recognition or admiration. To avoid this, they may merge with loved ones or protectors in search of security. On the extreme, they may be victim blamers, blaming others for their difficulties. Playing the victim also leads to higher chances of attention being drawn to them. However, this is a worst-case scenario.
There's something different about her, like she's got this special aura. So thin and such a pretty face. Those long eyelashes and her makeup, it really stands out, but it looks perfect.
Despite this demand of privilege, senses of entitlement, and naive tendencies, the self-preservation too is flexible, affectionate, and great hosts. They are capable beings despite the extreme innocence and naive descriptions. They are directly defined as tender, delicate, and docile. They are hard-working towards the people they love. They love giving to others and being of help. They may forget their own direct needs, appearing like an Enneagram 6 or 9.